Hey guys, so I'm going to walk you through some basic things you can do to update your resume from last year. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do, I'm going to do some stuff on my example, and you can always pause and then go to your own resume and do this yourself. So if you see this little, I don't know what you want to call it, this little box, click on it, and then you're going to come up to the top where the borders tab is. And you are going to go ahead and put those borders back on. Click on all borders. This will make it easy for us to edit our resume because you can actually see where you're writing, so you don't have any weird font or formatting issues. So that's the first thing you need to do. The second thing I think you should do is you should update your information. So if your address has changed, your phone number, the email you check regularly, you need to edit or change these things to make sure that they're current. The next thing is you need to make sure your GPA is updated. So if this isn't my GPA anymore, let's say my GPA went up to like a 3.35, I would edit and put my new GPA in there. Something brand new that you need to add after GPA, so you'll press enter. And you need to put the CEB code, so CEB code. Alright, so your CEB code is used by the SAT, it's used by College Board, and what it is it's a way for them to identify our specific school. So our CEB code is 443665. So if you would type it in just like this, that would be really helpful. Okay, the next thing you need to do is you need to find everything that is in yellow highlight, or maybe you highlighted a different color. Remember last year I wanted us to have something in every part of our resume, but unfortunately, like, you can't use a resume, right, if you have fake stuff on it. So what I need you to do is I need you to highlight and delete all of the items on your resume that are fake and highlighted. So take a moment and do that, and pause the video and then come back. Okay, the next thing you need to do is you need to start adding either things in the sections, right? So like if you have awards and honors, so let's say maybe at the end of the school year last year you won the Pride Award. I don't need, ooh. Man, I'm just winning a lot this evening with all this. So you would put this here. I'd come over here and I would put the date. Let's say that was in May 2015. May 2015. Perfect. I would highlight this. Right now, we are not going to put any one-liners, so if you would hold off on these bad boys, we'll come to those a little bit later. And let's say I am still in volleyball this year. I could put, if I have fall 2014 to 2015, I could change this to 2016. There. So add things that you have space for. Almost all of you should have a summer opportunity to add. Obviously, if you went to museums and just read books, you won't have anything to add here. But this is a great space to add stuff about volunteer experience or just the things you did over the summer. This is a great place for it to go. So you need to add things to your resume. Something else you need to do on your resume is if you do not have something in a section, so let's say for instance you have never had a job, right? You don't have any work experience. What you would need to do is you would need to highlight, right, this whole row, and you right click, and you would click delete cells, and you would click delete entire row, and then click OK. There is no point in having that section on your resume if you do not have anything that goes there. Although one day I do hope you have something that does go there. Something else you need to do is you need to add more skills. So if you have additional skills that you can add, this would be a great place for it, to add additional skills to your resume. Alright, so now we're going to do a bit of a throwback to last year. I guess it was around Christmas when we did our resumes. And I want to talk about one-liners. So you should not be on this part yet. unless you have finished all the pieces of your resume I just went over, besides the one-liners. When you are ready, you've done the one-liners, then you can start the video here. So, to remind you about what a one-liner is, it is the description you give for each component on your resume. So it does not have a noun. So the formula that I taught you guys last year was action verb plus data and details plus time equals a strong one-liner. So I'll walk through an example. So let's say a student volunteers in elementary school each Wednesday for 3 hours. While there, he helps with dismissal, organizes papers for the teacher, tutors, grades. He generally works for 15 to 20 with a group of 15 to 20 students, and he helps 3 teachers. Does this for 2 years. So the way this would work is a throwback, right? You need to list everything you do, just like we did. Then choose 1 to 2 main tasks that you're doing. So this student assists with dismissal, they organize, and they grade, as well as tutor. You need to figure out what data or details you have that make you impressive. Like I mentioned earlier this week, right, when I was in college, I fundraised a lot of money, and that was really impressive to put that big number on my resume instead of just saying I was on a fundraising committee, right? To say that I was on a fundraising committee that raised $38,000 for a charity organization, that makes you stand out, right? And that's the whole point of a resume, is to make you stand out. So here's what we come up with when we add all these things together, right? And if you need to pause it here so you can actually go through this with the example, it's a good idea. So assisted 3 teachers with grading, dismissal, and organization, and tutored 15 students for 3 hours each week. This is very specific. There is no doubt as to what you did when you volunteered. So ultimately, and I don't know why there's a lobster on here, you need to identify possible action verbs. If you don't know some, you can actually Google action verbs. I'll do that in a second so you can see that. And I would only pick the things that are the most impressive. So if I'm on the volleyball team, showing up to practice is not impressive, right? Because everyone shows up to practice. That's how you're on the volleyball team. So try to find something that does make you stand out and that is impressive on your resume. That is important. Okay, so I'm going to go, let's see if I can go to Google. Maybe. I wish I had like a knock-knock joke to tell right now. I have none. Oh, y'all are going to make fun of me for that. I'm going to wait for it. Okay, so if you want to go to Google, this is what I do when I need an action verb on my own resume. I updated it not too long ago. Okay, so you can just type in action verbs. You can even do for resume, right? It'll pop up. And there will be lists. You can actually go to images if you want to. They normally have lots of pictures. Action verbs everywhere. You'll see all sorts of them. So this is a great place to start if you are struggling with figuring out exactly what you want. There's going to be lots and lots of information on the internet about action verbs. After you are done, after you've improved your one-liners, so like here I would need to improve my one-liner for the Pride Award. Remember, because this is a school-specific thing, I would have to explain what it is and why I earned it. But once you're done, remember to take off the borders. You would click the box, come up here to the borders, and click No Border. That's what you do to get those off. Something else you want to make sure of is you want to make sure that your resume does not go past a page. A few tricks if you're struggling with that. There's a couple of them. One is you can go to page layout and you can go to the margins, just over here on the left, and you can make them a bit smaller. So I don't suggest doing it narrow, but if you have to, I understand. I know I do on my resume. You can always make it narrow. That gives you more space here at the bottom of your resume. The other thing you can do is you can actually start to delete some things. So let's say when I look at my resume, like fall 2014, that would be before I got into high school. So I would actually want my borders back on just for this part to make it easier for me. So if you know you're an overachiever, your resume is super long. If I want this in 2014, I could go ahead and take this off, just because I'm going to take it off anyway right before you apply to college in a couple years. You don't need things from middle school on your resume. And then that leaves me space to have things on here that are actually current. That is all I'm going to show you for today. Please make sure that you've taken the time to edit your resume, add things in, delete those things in yellow, or delete those things from middle school. I want to make sure that the resume you have here this year is something that you can take away and you can use regularly when you apply for jobs or when you apply for summer opportunities. If you have any questions, let me know, and I hope you guys have a great Friday and an even better weekend. Woo!